Good evening. You already know who it is. It's Big Dan, Rodan, coming at you live from the 215. Your comic book connoisseur, your sommelier of sci-fi and superheroes. Here to welcome you to another episode of the Blurred Bar, my barflies. How you doing?
Hello.
Yeah, I'm gonna do my sound this time. That's right.
Yay.
Because I got that energy today.
BDE?
Nope. Nope. That's not gonna ever be funny ever again.
Always make me chuckle.
How y'all doing?
I'm doing good.
You know, I'm never by myself, obviously.
Okay. You want me to take over?
Yeah. Can you just jump in here and?
Yes. Yes. Hey everybody. It's your girl Alicia, aka Queen Cobb,
Cutesy.
aka
It's called
Queen Anti-Flex. Not Queen Flex, Queen Anti-Flex.
Okay.
AKA the Video Game Ventures, coming at you live from the Blurred Bar.
That's right.
How y'all doing today? I am good.
Nope, that was the wrong sound. There we go. I got it right. It was a mistake because I was.
That sound is for
everybody.
everybody.
That sound can be for everybody. Josh, we got to get out of this.
All right. Last Descendant of Yasuke, sell over dub for all anime. Salsa Dancing Ninja, stay on his toes. Got a sake flight ready to go. It's your boy Hawkins Hanzo.
There we go. Got it right this time. Listen, we here for another episode
Another episode.
because Cobb never leaves.
I was here the whole time.
That's
My bed back there.
No, it is not. But it could. Nope. In some universe, it probably is, but not this one.
What are we talking about today, guys?
I was gonna ask how you guys were all doing. Apparently, Cobb never leaves.
I just woke up.
Right.
She's a little sleep. She's a little groggy.
Right.
You know. Are you a coffee person or tea? Or neither?
I'm a coffee person, but coffee is great, but I haven't been drinking as much coffee lately because I have ADHD.
It has
It's okay.
juice.
Don't be sad, because I'm not. I've accepted it. Great. So like the medicine that I take gives me enough energy, so taking coffee with it would be a bad idea. So I've been like keeping it like.
She'd be like, you know what you need to do.
Yeah, no. I don't need that much energy, but so I've been like keeping it low. I've been keeping it low with coffee, but I did have coffee today. It was not good. Wasn't made well, but I'm a coffee person, not a tea person.
Was it like a one of those free pots somewhere? You don't gotta say where you go as.
No, I mean, these like small business, like these small coffee shops where they kind of just like give you the black coffee. They don't put cream or sugar in it, and you're responsible for like kind of putting. They don't have like white sugar. They have like brown sugar or natural sugar rather,
And the raw.
Sugar in the raw.
I like in the raw.
Cane sugar is what they call it, maybe. But it's like they give it to me, and I'm like, I thought maybe you would put it in there.
I was hoping
thought this was your job.
Then they have like liquid
such a first
sugar.
world problem.
Yeah.
Liquid sugar is whack.
And it's
Liquid
like,
cane.
yeah, and it's like I don't really know how much to put in.
Yeah.
And like I look kind of weird, just like kind of allowing it to fall. I feel like coffee drinkers, like the idea is like to not put a lot in there because you want to taste the coffee, right? But
Depends on who you are.
I've been accused of being a dessert coffee drinker. Like I prefer like
coffee too light skin.
Not too light skin, but somewhere in between like Michael Epps and trying to think Rick Fox. Somewhere in between there.
All right.
Yeah. More Rick Fox.
Okay.
Sometimes just because I like caramel coffee.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, when I would drink coffee, it would be French vanilla, and it would be
French vanilla.
I love me some French vanilla.
More along the lines of Robin Thede.
That sounds about accurate.
I imagine Robin Thede is mad light skin.
Not mad light skin, but she's higher up on the spectrum.
Why she gotta be higher up? Why can't she be lower?
I mean, but if we're saying light,
are you associating light with higher up?
No,
we can talk about it. We can talk about that.
A spectrum is a spectrum, right? So
you said then there's no higher up.
So then there's no higher up. I'm just saying if we're scaling in the direction of light, then she's going closer to that direction.
All right. But same.
Heard it here first.
I'm probably more higher on the spectrum than my coffee.
See.
So,
That's so funny.
So you have decided.
coffee's good.
Are you? This is the last coffee question. Do you know if you're a medium roast, heavy roast, or medium?
Medium, definitely. Occasionally I'll take a dark roast. But I'm a medium roast person. Light roast is a bit like
water.
That's a good way to describe it.
Polluted water.
That's a good way. I never heard someone describe it that way. But medium is typically.
I prefer if I don't have like a dessert coffee, like flavor to the max with like the drizzle and all that. I normally just drink my coffee black.
So it's all or nothing.
All or nothing.
And I'm sure you have some electrolytes and water with you as your.
Nah.
Oh.
He's just doing it.
Every sip of coffee, I feel like I have to drink a bottle of water. Like black coffee, like.
Nah, black coffee. Especially when it's black, because then I don't put any sugar in it. I don't do anything. It's just like straight up. If I'm here, I'm here. Right. I got that. If I'm drinking black coffee, it's because I need to get through a specific portion of the day.
Oh my gosh, the things we do to ourselves to get through the day.
Coffee's an expense, so I don't do that often.
I just do tea.
Yeah, coffee is just getting more and more. I remember, let me not date myself, but coffee used to be like $1.
Coffee definitely used to be like $1
or less, and it would be good coffee. But now I feel like I have to budget for coffee.
Coffee budget. So
I did have one question before we got started.
Sure.
For gift cards for Christmas, they just give me a gift card. Yes.
If you could be a character in a comic book, anime, or video game, which one would you choose?
Anime.
Okay.
Like the character or
just,
like.
I'm talking about main character. If you could be a main character in a comic book, video game, or anime, what would you choose?
It might be comic book only because they don't seem to die, or if they do die, they just come back. Cause writing.
There's wisdom in those words. What about you?
I would say a shonen anime. Simply because I
will not die. You know that the writer is going to preserve you.
And I will only get stronger. I don't have to care about anyone but myself. And yeah, I'm just OP. So I would much rather be like a shonen.
That's true.
Anime.
That checks out.
That whole concept of just like resetting after like dying as a video game character, that works for me. That works. I see the appeal. Like I could recognize my failures and then avoid them the next time I come back.
I'm hearing a lot of desire to stay alive longer and to, I'm wondering where this comes from.
Yeah.
Longevity seems to be important to us.
I mean, this question came from another conversation I had with my wife. She was just like, if you could be immortal, would you choose it? And I was like, I was like, I don't know. I don't think I probably would have said yes.
This feels like, what was that show? You liked it. I didn't.
Sandman?
Yeah.
That's where the question came from, I think. She was watching. Okay. She had watched Sandman. And I said where I'm at in life now, I would choose no, only because I have a wife, kids. I've lived a significant portion of my life, I believe, to the point where
you only 30, bro.
Oh, crap.
33.
Oh boy.
As a black man in Philadelphia,
oh boy,
I'm already like.
You already passed the first test, 18 and 26.
Right.
You're good.
You're good.
I'm running.
Now it's just health. Now it's just simply health.
It's simply health.
Or wrong place, wrong time.
Thanks. Like I'm at the point where like it's on E, but like you just know you got a little bit more because your car. You just like
I got you.
I'm gonna get there. Anyway, but
I guess man.
I did. I answered more realistically. Like if I was just like straight up single, and you asked this question of like a 25-year-old me, I choose immortality because I feel like then I could fail enough times to get it right in my immortality than to just like live comfortably.
Not for nothing, I would choose immortality just because it feels like everybody I see who chooses that, like at some point in time, you're like, okay, I need to start securing the bag, and like I got nothing.
But that's what I'm saying. Like I would find what I would find something that I would love to do for the rest of eternity, right? At least, or find my niche.
You don't think you would find different niches? At a certain point, you're gonna be like,
I'm regular degular out here.
I feel like the thing that makes us so interesting is the fact that we are so terrified of death, and that death is gonna happen, right? Because if death wasn't gonna happen for us, then we would just flop and we would fail.
But I also feel like that impacts my choices now, right? Like
the fact that you're gonna die.
Like my mortality impacts the fact that I play it a little safer. Like I'm not gonna just go out here and say full tilt, blurred bar is what I do, and nothing else, right?
But would immortality make that? But would immortality make that so much? If
That
you were
would make
immortal, it would be more like, what's the point? Right?
To make it as big and burly as it needs to be.
That's what I'm saying. Like
But
I could go full tilt and like risk my credit and things like that.
But there is no risk because you're gonna. There is no risk when you're immortal.
Right.
All the risk come from the fact that the risk come from this fear or this idea that it's a possibility that I might fail.
Exactly.
And if there's no possibility of failure,
I mean, you might just pick the wrong thing. Like if you're not meant to be a mason worker, then like. You're not like if you're not built to be a football player, you're just not going to be a football player.
But if I'm immortal,
why not try?
Right. And if I fail, okay. But it's this idea where it's like our time is limited and we need to use our time right, which makes risk so much more exciting.
So calculated risk.
Being immortal, just like having all the money in the world, is probably mad boring. Being immortal is probably mad boring. It's probably cool for like a little while. But then everybody's dying around you. You stop caring about people. You stop caring about yourself.
That sounds like a personal thing.
It's true. If you're like,
is it true? Is there immortal people around that we've been taking polls on?
This is not the podcast, but I'm fine with this line.
Let's think about Dracula, right? Like Dracula didn't care about a damn person. The only time he ever cared was when he had that. I think it was her second wife. I'm thinking his second wife. He like cared about people because he had this person, and it was like, even though she wasn't immortal, I feel like that humanized him.
But that's
I feel like that's one way to extrapolate on immortal.
A human.
But I would argue that humanity, the experience of humanity, is that other people anchor you to stay human, right? Like if you're immortal, you kind of just feel that, like eventually you'll see that weight is lifted.
But if they constantly die, if you're constantly getting attached to people that you know will die,
you won't get attached to them.
But that's a problem.
Well, she's saying that you guys are saying that's what that will happen. I think you can appreciate everyone. Like it's kind of like, oh, that was my favorite jacket, and now I have a new jacket.
But then if your jacket,
that's a wild way to live, though. But
if you're immortal, I had a jacket, I loved it, and now I'm a recondoed, and I was like, thank you for your service, and I'm here for a new jacket, and that's okay.
But at a certain point, it'll be like, okay, I don't give a damn about the jacket.
I don't think that you're always gonna find a jacket that you like.
Unless
you won't be as invested or attached to it because you know that it's not going to last as long. And also like a jacket that's not fair. I'm talking about life, right? What the issue here is that like I live longer than everyone else.
I don't think that's an issue. I think you learn to appreciate people for who they are and what role they played in your life.
But
for that season.
But this, and then it's this idea of accepting. But then it's like your thoughts and your perspective on death has to change.
Of course, you're immortal.
And death and people dying is pain. So you don't want to feel that pain.
I think there's a healthy way of like.
But I feel like it becomes your pain. Like it's just your pain.
It's just you.
Yeah.
You just have to deal with that. And I think that you.
But it all depends on how you deal with pain in general. Like
right. Yeah, I think that, and that's why I say that's a very personal choice of like how you deal with like that thing. But but
our bodies, biologically, we avoid pain. We don't want pain. Pain tells us that something is wrong. So
pain is also information.
Pain, right? It informs us to stay away from things, to get close to things, that something's not right. So to constantly feel that over and over again, eventually we'll get to a point where we're going to try to avoid it. I am so sorry to the barflies.
I think that your brain, you being an immortal, if you've lived long enough, which you will have, it just comes like, oh, these people will die. I'm
so glad this is being filmed because there's like not a joint in between us to like explain how we got here.
I think to your point, your thoughts and feelings on death and people will evolve. Now, depending on the person, you may think that all people are trash and you're going to think of a way to take over the world, or you
You'll
could
be a
also
hermit.
you could also be a hermit. You could also just appreciate the people as they come and go from your life, because things come and go.
Therefore, I can treat it as badly as I don't
Or
have to
cherish it as much as you can.
We are the choices we make. I mean, you could be the story keeper, right? You could be the one that documents all of this for everybody.
For who?
Oh,
For what?
The next people who
Why
come
not?
into life. I'm saying you could. I'm not saying I would. I don't.
I'm saying why not?
I already struggle with my identity on this side, so don't ask
I just
me
think
if I
everything
would do
that is
but-
exciting to us and everything that is worth living for comes from the idea that we have to struggle to get it.
There's a finality to it. Yeah, you recognize that there's at some point there's an end to this.
So what's exciting? So what would be exciting about living forever, but nobody else does?
Whatever new challenge brings your way.
What challenge do you have?
Whatever you want to learn. You still have.
What do you want to learn?
There are at least 3 languages that I would like to learn. There's photography that I always want to get
But
into.
you're immortal.
So
ultimately,
I still have to take that journey though.
But ultimately, like learning it is the point of maybe learning another language or getting more skilled in photography isn't ultimately the point to sort of connect with others.
And you can always
But
connect with others.
the idea of it would be considered like a drop in the bucket against time, right? Like you learning it, you taking 4 years to learn it and master it, essentially comes out to nothing as far as your time lived.
That's not a bad thing, guys.
I understand.
But you ultimately kind of become like a god. And I feel like being a
Or
god
not.
is probably boring.
I don't think you would become a god.
I feel
It
like-
depends on your machinations.
I mean, you're passing on information, right? It's guaranteed that whatever information that you have, you know that you're going to keep that forever. You have this responsibility, or maybe if you decide to take on that responsibility of passing on information, essentially you become.
If you take on that responsibility.
So what else will you do? What else will provide? What
Just
else will give you
enjoy
meaning?
life.
How?
All right, okay.
Yeah, life is you enjoy life because we know that there's finality.
I don't know.
I mean, I would make the argument that I have kids because I know that one day I'll die.
I mean, why else would people have kids? Why else would people have kids?
I mean, you literally having kids starts that cycle of that thought process of like one day this is it for me.
Yeah.
I just think it's really hard to speak
Prior
on
to
immortals.
prior to kids, I was like, I'm gonna live forever. I know I wasn't,
right, like,
but you know,
you're right. This drive
moment
is
I had
that we
kids.
want some part of us to live forever, even though we know it's not possible. That's like the goal, is to extend our lives or extend the extension of our lives as long as
Legacy.
possible. So once we have it, what exactly are we struggling for? What's our point?
this spiraled, and I
It
appreciate.
did inspire. I think it's a really good conversation.
This is a
I just
great
think,
conversation.
I think it just shows a different viewpoint on life.
I agree, but I think we're allowed to disagree in this.
Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely. And the thing is, like, what happens if, like, it almost makes it hard to become close to people, and we may have this person in our lives that's just this ancillary character or just this side character in our lives, and to know that, like, they may eventually die. What's the point in, like, even getting close to someone, right?
But what if you're
Why
just
don't you
what
wanna
if
get
you're
close
just
to
the
them?
narrator?
Because they're gonna die.
They're also the main character.
But
of their
still, you
own
can still
stories,
learn
though.
something from
True,
them.
but we can learn a lot from the side characters in our lives, or the ancillary characters.
And why
in
do you
our
keep calling
lives.
them side characters?
Isn't that what everybody is to us?
I don't disagree with her. Like I do, y'all my homies. I appreciate y'all, but I'm at the end of the day, I'm the Charlie Brown of my Charlie Brown story.
Even though there are some times in my life where, like, the what's the bull name? The stinky bull? I was gonna say, like, the Pigpen. Sometimes I wish Pigpen was like Pigpen could just take over as the main character, because sometimes I believe that Pigpen would do better at being the leader than I would. Sometimes I don't feel like I'm adequate enough to be
but
the leader.
I feel like
But you
if you're
could
Charlie
always-
Brown feel that way all the time.
Yeah, so maybe Pigpen should be the main character.
And maybe you could be.
But Pigpen
Pigpen's
is the main
side
character to himself.
Everybody's the main character to themselves.
Exactly.
Right?
You
But
can always
sometimes,
be
Which is
supportive
a
of
great
people.
segue
sometimes in
to
my own life, I'm just like, yo, I need there to be someone else to just live my life for me, because they would live it better than I would. So I'm going to step back and be the supporting character. I'm not a good main character. Sometimes.
I'd argue that.
It's like, yo, can you just live my life for me? And I can just...
I don't feel like I give off main character energy. That's me. But
Neither. Which is somehow connected
bringing
to
us
what
full
we're
circle. Yeah, full circle to what we were actually supposed to talk about.
Who's the side character that should take over your life?
Yamcha. No.
In Yamcha's defense, Yamcha would be a great main character.
I saw this tweet that was like, what if it was all a joke and like Yamcha's actually like the strongest person in the Dragon Ball world? It's just like, for whatever reason, he's just like chilling, like not doing anything. I mean,
he was certainly on the list of strongest humans until he got wrecked. But,
well, no, because
Krillin's the strongest.
Oh, yeah.
Well, at one point, wasn't it Tien?
Tien's not human.
Oh, yeah. Tien's not. Wait, what is Tien?
He got a third eye.
Yeah, we all do.
He got a physical.
Wait, Tien's not human?
No.
What is Tien?
He's a part of like some hybrid group.
Okay, but he's not considered human.
He's like partially human, hybrid.
Okay, so the strongest human then would be Krillin.
It's Krillin, which is weird because he don't have a nose. But
is that weird or is that just
some people don't have
genetics be out here like that? I get it.
I thought Tien was human.
He's almost like he's.
We're all almost human, aren't we?
Right, aren't we?
wow?
Anyway, in Yamcha's defense, I feel like he just was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Oh crap! He was a black man between 18 and 26.
Because if you think about it, right, like Yamcha in Dragon Ball was out here wrecking.
Most of the characters in Dragon Ball were like, and I don't know how I feel about it, but they were really strong.
The power scaling from Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z shifted everything.
Significantly.
Yeah.
On top of that, I mean, obviously, is due to the fact that like other Saiyans all of a sudden
more
existed.
characters started to come. Right.
Yeah, but you know, I feel like if we watch Dragon Ball from the perspective of Yamcha, I feel like had he not died so many times.
How many times did Yamcha die?
It's only 3.
I was like, Goku. I'm sure Goku like has him.
Well, now I don't even know if he came back that last time.
Is Yamcha in Super?
I feel like I've seen him in Super, but I can't recall because he's not the main character at all.
There's some other guy with spiky hair and orange suit.
He does have unique abilities, though.
He did. The Wolf Fist.
Wolf Fang Fist.
Wolf Fang Fist. That was so cool.
Never forget.
Like, to throw that many fists.
Snap him.
And,
he was my
and
favorite.
human.
And was mad cute.
And my boy had a mullet.
Yep.
Like.
And then got like the Gohan haircut. Or rather, Gohan got his haircut from Yamcha.
Yeah.
Ooh. And he had the Rurouni Kenshin scar. Yamcha was just...
He was out here. He was
missed
out here
opportunity.
He was never the intent. But that's what we're here to talk about. Not just Yamcha, because...
This is 45 minutes.
Because who cares?
Yamcha.
Really, like, let's be real. Who cares about
we've already passed, like, caring about Yamcha. Like, that was a podcast 20 years ago.
He's
maybe.
dead.
Yeah, he did.
Speaking of death and immortality, not Yamcha.
Right. Him being immortal would have been a problem because he would have never gotten better. Like, he peaked.
Did he get better?
He peaked.
Oh.
And didn't have anything. He had no answer for Saiyans, let alone a Saiyan Blue, and let alone Ultra Instinct, which isn't even enough for Goku to like win fights. He got to start jumping people now. So anyway, I wanted to ask if you had a list of like 2 or 3 people, just like across the span of fandom, things that you enjoy.
I got a few.
That like I said, 2 or 3, 2 or 3 characters that aren't main characters, but how you feel like they should have been main characters. Kind of like Yamcha, but we passed that.
I guess.
I mean,
all right. I'm gonna say the Dora Milaje.
Main characters.
I feel like if there was a, let's say, 12 to 13 episode season that came out, series
and just sole focus.
Series,
I got something good for you. The Blurred Girl wrote a book about the Dora Milaje. Just that's the whole focus. Ain't nothing else going on there. Just Dora Milaje.
That's cool.
And she'll be at Amalgam on.
Oh yeah, doing a signing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard about that.
Yeah,
I heard about that.
She's the book's out there, so already. You and the blur girl got a vision.
There you go.
Can't wait to see that on screen.
I think just seeing how they rolled in on what's his name? Zemo and not Bucky.
Yeah.
But Bucky was there. But no, the bull who was like, all right, ladies, you all need to chill out. And
yeah.
like, you don't have jurisdiction here.
John Walker.
The Dora Milaje have jurisdiction, wherever the Dora Milaje find themselves to be. I was like, well, with a line like that, I'm very interested to see.
Reverse colonization, for sure.
I'm very interested to see how they operate.
Regardless, I was like, slay queen. I'm not mad at it.
There's a lot to develop there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of potential there.
Yeah.
I agree. I think one, they're heavily inspired from like the Agoge, which is, we'll reference that further in the Woman King, but review. But Dora Milaje was one of your main who you feel like should have main character focus.
Yes.
You got any more?
Oh, I thought we were just gonna keep.
I mean, we can.
Forth,
sure. You got one?
I have a lot.
Oh, you got a lot.
I think I'll start with probably who I feel like is most significant, and I would say like Samwise Gamgee from Lord of the Rings.
Explain.
Samwise?
Yeah, Sam.
Because I support this notion.
Okay.
I think that Sam.
He was the big dude who.
Sam is Frodo's best friend.
Like his guide, his companion. That
you said from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Sorry, you said Sam. I was thinking, not House of Dragons, Game of Thrones.
Who was Sam in Game of Thrones?
Sam was Jon Snow's
He was the Meister.
I'll make an argument real quick. Random side note. Some of the best sidekicks or best number twos have been named Sam. Samwise Gamgee, Sam Tarly.
Yeah.
Tarly.
Sam Wilson, Captain America.
Because Sam is just the name just seems very like...
Salmon Cat, you know what I'm saying?
It feels very like docile, in a way.
But dependable.
Like calming.
Dependable,
right? Reliable, right?
Reliable, right?
Is that because of the stories that we're talking about right now?
Probably, yeah. I think that kind of creates it kind of just sounds like this character that has no potential, but actually is extremely helpful towards the protagonist.
Hey.
Supports, is loyalty.
I could go off.
That was a very rough backhanded comment. They have
honestly,
no potential.
It's true,
but they're dependable.
Their potential is limited. How their potential is just directly related to how they can support the protagonist.
Sure,
their strength is recognized in how they support the main character.
And I think that Sam is just another one of those. But when I think about it, if Sam was the one that was sent to destroy the ring,
he wouldn't need Frodo.
No. Because Frodo has no real use when you think about it. Like, Sam was better equipped. He knew the land a lot better.
I support all of this energy, by the way.
He was the one that identified Gollum as a mess when they first met them and didn't trust him. He was the one that, unfortunately, still was loyal to Frodo despite Frodo sending him away and treating him terribly and choosing this monster over him. And he's the one that carried Frodo to Mordor. Right, like so. If he did all of this for Frodo, even though in the books Frodo was a little bit more, I think the movies created like this sense of weakness in some of the characters. Like Merry and Pippin were not stupid characters. Like in the book, they were a lot smarter.
They were much more.
And even Frodo was maybe a little bit smarter, but I think, at least in the movies, like if Sam was the one that was given the job, he would have done the job with very little conflict. But then again, Sam didn't have the ring, so he wasn't really being compelled by the ring. So I'm making an assumption because Sam
had that strength.
He had the strength, but he was also detached from the impact of the ring, right?
Sam just wanted to get back home to his girl.
He just wanted to get back to his potential girl.
And then but he got her.
He did.
And then even fought the war after they came back.
Yep, and had all them kids, and then I think he went away back to Frodo after the book. Like
did.
After the book.
Yeah.
But I think that
Did Frodo have a girl?
No.
He didn't have a girl.
Frodo,
he was just out here by himself.
Frodo ended up going to the afterlife very shortly after.
But then I think and then he stayed there, and then Sam came later.
But I mean, like Sam had a potential girl. Did Frodo have a potential?
He had kids.
Yeah.
No, he had kids. He left when the kids were a little bit older.
Frodo?
No, Sam.
Yeah, I'm saying Sam had a potential girl.
And
So like, if he would have had the
When
if
they
he would have
started
the
their
ring,
journey,
when they started the journey, if he would have had the ring,
no. Frodo
maybe it
was-
would have been a bit more grounding for him. I'm making a case for Sam.
yeah,
I'm agreeing. Whereas Frodo was just out here like, well, you know.
he has nothing to really,
Sam always had something to go back to.
Yep, Frodo had already felt like
Frodo
Like, he
was
didn't
His
belong.
granddad had just died, right?
uncle,
Uncle.
but Bilbo he was just
I
as
read the
aimless
books.
as Bilbo, so that's why. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah.
But I think as much as I like Frodo, I think that Sam would have been a better.
I like that. That
He was
claim.
he was a more exciting character. But I think when you're a sidekick, you have room to be a lot more exciting, right? Because you're kind of outside of
The drama.
right? Like you just support. You're not like he didn't have the ring.
Sam was definitely like, and he was seeing all.
Even
of
when
it.
he saw the ring, he was like that last moment he was holding it, like he was just like he would risk it all. So I'm not saying that he wouldn't have been just as torn apart as Frodo, but he was an essential supportive character that literally
that last
he's
line,
the reason.
Though, he was like, I may not be able to carry that ring for you,
but I
can carry you.
facts.
I was like, go ahead and preach.
with no shoes on, like with no shoes,
Barefoot,
no
up
water,
a hot mountain.
no water. How? This man carried
His lips
it.
was crusty, breaking.
Like I think that would have been real, his real crusty lips. That wasn't CG.
Was
that
it-
wasn't makeup. Like his lips had to
That
be
was
real
him.
crusty. That is what crusty lips look like.
uh,
So like Sam is just, I would say, like in a set, he is he's a great supporting character. But sometimes I wonder, like, what if it was him?
it would have been a shorter movie. I'll tell you that much. It
Yup.
would have been 3 movies.
Yep. Or if he wasn't there, Frodo would have checked easy.
Quick. Frodo would have been like, "Here, Sauron."
Shut up. Frodo would have checked before he had the job to deliver the ring, because he was already in trouble the minute that he left back in. So
Sam carried that. Yeah.
Sam carried that.
But Sam being main character, I support that. My pick, I had one, was Scar from Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say from Lion King.
No, I mean that's a Hamlet story.
So
You don't ever really focus on. I feel like Sons of Anarchy did enough to like make that character.
never watched it.
We can't talk about that right now. Oh. Anyway, Scar from Full Metal Alchemist.
Interesting.
If you picked him and made him a main character, I feel like we would have gotten a lot more intense action sequences.
That definitely changes the writing and the focus and the tone. That's
Right.
probably what I'm thinking. It
But
definitely changes
and this is just soft pitch. It never has to happen. But him being able to build back the legacy of a people that experienced genocide on such a massive scale. On top of it, like him being still very devout to his faith, or at least in the religiosity of Full Metal Alchemist, right? Like everybody was religious there, but just religious to magic in this, or alchemy,
Right.
So I think I would have liked to have seen him be the main character focus. I'm not saying that Eldrick Brothers weren't good main characters,
But if there was a spinoff,
but if there was a spinoff or if there was a choice as far as a change in direction, Scar would have been the character out of that story that I would have picked, because there was so much loss already experienced, and I think if he had to go up against the 7 sins, like it would have been a different fight.
oh yeah, it would have been a brutal
Would
fight.
have been good fights.
He would have died.
He would have lost.
He would have died early because he seemed to be.
At war with himself.
Yeah, good. That's great. Like, he seemed to be like his whole idea was about. It seemed to be about purging, or it seemed to be rooted in maybe vengeance. And you can't get very far because in Full Metal Alchemist you need allies. So I think he eventually would have been.
But I think if the order in which he faced the 7 sins or the homunculi, based on that order, I would argue that maybe he would have come around to start getting.
But would he have actually saved? Is it about? Because
I would. Would he have? I would think we would see more of a redemption arc for him, right? Like it would be more of like a 180 from the revenge to understanding like his place now in the bigger world.
I think his saving I guess, humanity, as because I'm sure, like, was that the big? They were trying to make the Philosophy Stone, but like they were going to kill a bunch of people to make the Philosophy Stone.
It would have been the whole like nation.
Yeah. I think that would have been a secondary thing that somehow happens because he is bringing his people back into the forefront. Like you, because I felt like you're going to say like, would they have actually like, would he have saved anybody? And it's like, because of writing, maybe, but like I could see it being very secondary. Like I'm only here because if you make the Philosopher's Stone, then I definitely won't be able to make. Because
if you had given him like all of the same like supporting characters that the Eldritch brothers had, I think he would have come around to reason, and then understanding of like, oh, this is bigger than me or bigger than my revenge.
Yeah.
But you know,
that's true. I think that if he had help, he would have needed help, and in order to get help, he would have had to change.
Because there were certain characters that you could see like that weren't tied so strongly to the military portion. Like Mustang could definitely run by himself, and had done so at times. But you know he needed that little fire, no pun intended, of like Hugh's death to like really get him going.
And he also needed grounding from Hawkeye.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So I feel like if Scar encountered them the way he would have without the Eldritch brothers being present, you know, it would have been a fight, but then it would have been a small fight. And then like recognizing like this is bigger than you and this whatever revenge thing you're trying to do.
But Mustang was still like, he was disappointed, but he was still loyal to the military, right? Yeah. Like he still operated within.
He was until that like last arc.
It depends on when he meets Mustang.
Where he meets him, yeah. But that was my pitch as far as like who I would like to see a main character.
I think that's a good answer. I was gonna say like to follow up with that, like I kind of listed like Alphonse. I think that he is a character that was like not utilized well enough.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think that he was. When
he was the heart of the show.
He was the heart. He was definitely at least the anchor, the emotional anchor.
To support Ed, right? Even though he had just as much stake in it as Ed and lost more. Like Ed is just like dealing with this responsibility. Right. He's just dealing with his guilt, right? Like, but we got to think like Alphonse
had nobody.
Yeah, Alphonse had to deal with the fact it's like, yo, Alphonse was younger, right?
He can't eat, can't sleep.
Right, like he is the one that has, and obviously like Ed is dealing with his own guilt with that. But it's like I feel like they didn't utilize Al well enough, and I think that with Brotherhood, I was happy that he started to sort of get into alchemy, and like that was cool. He started to like deviate from not just being this follower of Ed, because he was like down for most things Ed did. There were a few times he was like,
but that was from the rip.
He was the Pikachu to Ed's ass.
Yeah, but sometimes he would be like, yo. But that was rare. So he didn't really seem like a character.
He didn't have a voice.
He didn't, despite the fact that he had just as much stake, if not more, in this. And I feel like he was a character that was not utilized well, and I listed him as a character that, even if he wasn't like the main protagonist, he should have just been more
in the front.
Yeah, because he just was the boy. Yeah, he was the boy that like followed his brother, and it's like your brother's actually really dumb, and he's probably like this middle school kid. I'm triggered, middle school kid. Like Ed acted more on emotion, right? He acted on emotion a lot.
It was definitely impulse. Yeah.
And it's like,
which one is that? Id, ego, super id.
The id. No, not the id. Ego, maybe.
One of them.
I haven't taken a psychology.
I mean, y'all the ones that
he said
this,
it,
right?
But I'm saying like, yeah, I think
I work in computers. I stay in my lane.
Al could have just been utilized better.
You got another one, Josh?
I do. In keeping with anime, I'm gonna go Fumikage, who is the bird bull from My Hero.
Yeah.
I would love to see him be the focus.
Yeah. Because I want it is who I am. A darker version of My Hero that's less shonen and more what is it called? Whatever the adult version of that is.
Seinen, maybe?
Seinen. Yeah, Seinen? You're right. Yeah.
Excuse me.
To see him struggle with like learning to control the shadow like at night, like the way he talked about it, like in the first couple seasons, it was like,
He's
oh,
like,
things got
he's like,
dark.
I don't sleep.
Yeah, it's like he's like, yeah, we had to train, like, and I trained in a cave, and like it seemed to get like really crazy. So like to see a darker version, a grittier version, I'm thinking more like Casher and Sin's version of like him learning his powers and everything and what that looks like. I would be totally down for it. And then like him to see his arc of like fully like getting into his powers and becoming like, it would probably be like more of like a Blue Beetle situation where like you have that constant like person talking to you all the time. But yeah, I think that would be dope.
I think that's one of the weaknesses of My Hero Academia is that they seem to introduce so many great potential characters, but they don't deliver with their stories. And that's one of my challenges.
Because they're not the main.
It's not their.
It's not their story.
But it's like, yo, you have like 90 characters, and like people are interested in them, yet you don't give them anything. I think that's a bit disappointing.
You're not wrong.
It's because I think the writers are trying to avoid splintering so much that like the My Hero universe would just become this sprawling thing of just like like a monstrosity of just like everyone getting their own spin-off.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking of a universe that kind of already does that.
No, we're aware. You didn't have to say it. I said I used the word monstrosity for a reason.
God, Disney should buy whoever it is that.
Oh my goodness,
for My Hero.
I mean, Disney's, not to derail it, but Disney is we're getting a second season of Visions.
Yeah,
which I'm like, but like, are you gonna give me?
Nope. See,
anywho,
I feel like you got elevated expectations there, my guy.
But here's the thing. This is not this episode.
We'll talk about that another time.
Okay, we'll get there though. My other pick was more based in just TV in general, and it was Omar from The Wire.
That
would
be wild.
I mean, R.I.P. Michael K. Williams. Yeah. I mean,
right,
you can't get it back.
I guess now I know.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying R.I.P. as far as like he's not alive.
I don't think she knew who that was. I don't think she knew who Omar was.
I hear a character, and I didn't watch The Wire.
Yeah.
Can't deal with the acting, but I hear it's an amazing show. But yeah, you can make fun of me. It's fine.
No. I get it.
I hear a lot about a character. Omar.
I saw The Wire very late in life.
And who played Omar? Who's the actor?
Michael K. Williams.
Is he the one that just passed away?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
So, he had a scar.
Yeah.
Yep.
Famously known for his scar.
Yep.
But a show central, like focused on that character.
That's also a very dark show.
I mean, it's a dark show, but like it being focused on him definitely would have been dark, and just like just maneuvering through like the intricacies of like drug culture in Baltimore, on top of like he had this very Robin Hood-esque like feel about him. Like he wasn't really out for like he was out for more like of getting out of it. Like he understood what it was to live in that kind of like culture, but he was really trying to get out.
Was he?
He was a balance, at least a balance in the story he was, but like to the point where he had aspirations of like making enough to not have to do this anymore. But he also recognized like the community around him was suffering, so he kept giving away what he was getting to kind of just spread it around.
Which made him have to stay
exactly.
in
So it was kind of like this consistent, ongoing thing. So
that's interesting only because I feel like that was, I think, for a couple of the characters where they were like, oh, you know what I'm thinking of? Snowfall, where they try to, it's like they try to go legitimate, right? But
I mean, that's every story, right? When you're in the drug game.
Exactly. But it's like people in the legitimate spaces, money knows money. So like they're gonna know stories of like how you got this money and stuff like that. So like people didn't want to
can't silence all the whispers.
Right. Yep. People didn't want to get into business with certain people. And I feel like that would have been the same thing. At least that's kind of what happened with them in the Wire. But
yeah.
Interesting.
But that would have been the show I'd watch the crap out of just like straight up Omar main character. Like, he was definitely a character in the story, but like he wasn't the focus of the show.
Yeah.
And nor was he ever really like even the focus of like the angst.
He was literally a wild card.
Always, yeah. Because at some point he was like in the interrogation room giving out information. Other times he was out on the streets with a shotty in his jacket. Like, you know what I'm saying? So,
and I think maybe side characters can be like more of a wild card. You know, I feel like the main character kind of has to like create this sense of consistency, or like like you kind of have to know what the main character will do. It's like the people around the main character that
but
change,
I mean,
right?
that's I guess that's the art of writing. It's just like those side characters inform the decision making of the main character.
So the main character is ultimately in most cases kind of boring, but not all the time.
We're
not all the
talking
time. That's a
about
big
you,
statement.
Goku.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great example. He's really boring. I think it's the people around him that elevate his character. So side characters is not necessarily a.
It's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing.
I'd
It's not
argue
like
Frodo was boring.
Frodo was very boring.
Yeah.
He's very boring.
He's dealing with a very like weighted situation, but he was also very boring.
I think the only way we can relate to Frodo is that like he's just this normal bull who just has this weight, this responsibility, right? But we learn that it's actually like everybody that's supporting him that actually make his story more compelling.
Being a side character is almost like a backhanded compliment.
Yeah.
And, I like being the side character though. Everybody else's stories. Because I'm just like a little sprinkle.
Yep.
Just like
there's a little extra season,
I'm
extra
just,
kick.
I'm just like a dash. Yeah.
And you can leave. I don't have to deal with this weight. I just help a little bit.
I don't have to be you. All I have to do is show up and people be like, who's that guy? Kind of interesting. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see too much of him, but enough of them is enough.
I come in, I say a joke, and then I leave.
Yep.
Just smoke bomb it.
That probably feels great to just be able to leave. I don't want to be a part of this main story anymore.
You get to be an aunt or an uncle, right? It's like,
Exactly.
I mean, take your kids and it's like, these are yours.
I'm more of a reoccurring character for my kids, but even then I could just be like,
oh, crap.
I just show up.
Yep.
And I experience life with them, but then after that, like, it's still theirs.
Why would anybody want to be a main character?
I don't know. Because being a main character in this story right here,
sucks.
it feels very like, kick the ball, Charlie Brown. And that's enough for me. But we're moving.
I have, so for my last person, I toss it up to a vote for you guys who we want to talk about.
Okay.
That's how I'll do it.
Let's do it.
You have Damian Wayne. You have
Damian
Wayne.
Batman.
Son of Bruce Wayne.
Okay. Who would be maybe Robin?
He is currently.
He is a Robin. You have Arya Stark.
I have Arya.
I also had Arya on my list.
I feel like that was a given.
Votes picked.
There it is.
Let's talk about it.
War Machine.
Arya was it.
I just know him from the video game.
All right. So Arya Stark. Even before.
Can I put an asterisk?
Sure.
It's only Arya after she deals with the faceless god.
You can't make that determination.
I'm just saying for me. That's where
you can't do that.
That's the only part where
he
she starts.
Determines.
Right.
He determines.
I get it, but I'm just saying.
About.
I just said, can I add an asterisk?
When it's your turn, you can talk about.
But if I said, can I add an asterisk?
Yep.
And then if you said sure, then I mean that's where I'm throwing it. But if you said no, then you ain't gotta do it. Right? You don't have to.
Arya was exciting from the first episode.
She was.
So that's what I was gonna say. Even before all of the stuff happened, Arya was already a very interesting character. That okay, let's follow this person around. Let's see what's going on. When she got into assassination, I personally was even more invested.
My ears sparked up. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying, if you're gonna write somebody like that,
but they had to we knew that Arya would be different, right?
Yes.
They had to build to that point of her not wanting to be what she was supposed to be,
and that
disagree. Gets you connected.
Yeah,
right?
And then they took all of that in the last season and threw it away.
They didn't throw it away.
She had her role.
She had her role. I think she was. I mean, she was a side character. Obviously, that's why she's here in this list.
I mean, one can argue that she wasn't in the books. Doesn't she have her own chapters?
Mm-hmm.
I would argue that she's not fully a side character, but in the show she felt more of a side character.
Because in the books, who's the main character?
All the Starks are technically the main characters.
All the peoples.
Yeah.
If they got a chapter,
I would argue like maybe the Tarleys are like side characters, right?
Sure, because
the
they
Tullys, them too.
The Tullys.
Because they never get a chapter.
Right.
But if you get a chapter,
that must
MC.
mean you're a main character.
Yeah. But yeah, in the show, yes, I think she was treated more as a side character.
But who was she supporting? Because isn't the point of a side character to support the protagonist?
Fair enough.
So who was she? Because at a point she started to have her own. She was her own protagonist.
But what she was doing had no real until the very last season. What she was doing had no effect on anything that was going on.
No, only because she was with Bull, who ended up being like he was actually the true king. But you know they don't ever really talk about that.
Oh,
the Baratheon Bull,
Gendry, which did nothing.
Yeah, that was.
That's because it was bad writing from the showrunners. That's not.
But also,
we were talking about the show.
All the people that knew that he was the bastard had died at that point.
Yeah,
right. Except for her.
But she had no.
She had no power. She had no say. Like
I get it,
so, what she's doing has no effect on the main story that they're telling.
And what's the main story that they're telling?
I think it has to do with the throne. It all has to do with the throne.
The
so
throne would be
she helped. The throne is probably main character actually. But she helped with the.
You don't see the problem.
She helped with the elimination of like the threat that they had been building up this whole time. Mm-hmm. That could have been anybody.
That could have been it.
But it was dope the way she did it. In such a way that her going off past where the maps end and like
that could have
doing
been its
stuff.
Own. Yep.
Oh my goodness.
People were saying it like, yo, there needs to be like a.
If there like, I think there would have been so many more people watching that show than watching House of Dragons. Maybe. I haven't read Fire and Blood.
You know,
so
we're waiting to see what they're going to do with this Jon Snow spinoff.
Wait, is that real? I thought that wasn't.
No, that is very much.
Why
a real
does Jon
thing.
Snow need a spinoff?
Yeah.
Because
I feel like that last episode
should have been enough.
It seemed to seal like what it is that they finna
because
get into.
Before they confirmed the Jon Snow one, they were like, a Stark is getting a spinoff, and we were like, if it's not Arya, we don't want it. But what is
Arya?
But Jon Snow was a close second.
But we really don't need Arya to have. Because what is Arya's purpose?
Yeah.
If Arya, I feel like that's what she struggled with.
It's like a 5 goes west.
Yeah, it's like what is she trying to? What is Arya's purpose? Really?
Arya's purpose, I guess, would be to right the wrongs.
No, her purpose was to kill them bulls.
Yeah.
But then she did that, and it was almost like, well, what? Why do we need Arya now?
She could travel the entire world and right the wrongs of everybody. Like,
is that her intent?
That's not what she would be dubbed to.
I guess, but here's my thing. My pitch would be, she learned all of the ways of assassination without ever really submitting fully to the faceless god. So she's always got those people chasing her.
But what's her purpose?
Her purpose would be...
Is she just dodging them?
I guess survivability, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, she...
That's not compelling.
That's not a great story.
Not at first, right? But, like, then if you argue that, like, the risk of, like, Bran's safety as king is always at a risk. Like, she knows how to be faceless. So she can be out in these streets.
So therefore, she'll always be a supporting character.
She could be.
She's just a really good supporting character because she doesn't have like this responsibility, right? Like,
for
if
her
anything,
to be
Bran.
What's her?
If anything,
anchor?
it's Bran, right? Who should get the story as the protagonist, the boring protagonist.
Maybe we just want to see her out here killing people.
I do.
I do too. It's fun, but it's like we know that she won't make a very strong protagonist. And if like
depending on what her motivation
unless
is.
you get she's always like aligned against or like maligned against the other chick who's like faceless.
You know what I was gonna say?
Oh yeah.
That would be dope. I was gonna say her clearing off her list, but her list pretty much got like
her list.
That's what I was saying. That was her purpose, was to clear the list, right?
But no, like she didn't keep her vow, and now you got faceless people hunting her.
I feel like it has to center around Bran, which would continue to make her a supporting character. It would be exciting if it was like now Bran has to deal with these other threats. And then Arya somehow supports with that in her own way. Mm-hmm. So
I'm not saying give Arya like a cop show.
Extremely strong.
Give her like her own like kind of Assassin's Creed arc. I don't know.
Oh, not Assassin's Creed.
Don't do that right now.
I like Assassin's Creed, for the record. Don't yell at me.
But I don't think
anybody would. But honestly,
no, I'm not. No one's yelling.
I don't think anyone's listening when I say Assassin's Creed.
I'm a big fan of Assassin's Creed.
Oh, you're an Assassin's Creed wolf?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Nothing
Probably
is true.
the biggest that I know.
Right. Nothing
Really?
is true.
Can I ask really quickly what's your favorite, and then we'll talk about it at another time?
Sure.
Go ahead. What's your
2.
favorite? Okay.
Yeah. It's the only one.
All right.
This is funny.
So we'll get along. We'll get along.
But
You've always been here, cop.
I thought you were gonna say Black Flag or something.
No, Black Flag is great, but it's not like.
It's not the time for it.
Yeah, we're not talking about that right now.
Yeah, Arya Stark might have been a thing.
Arya Stark.
But you raised some good points of that she might just be a good supporting character, and we just want to see, I don't know, put her in an anime of randomness of just like she out here killing folks.
That makes the mystery, like when you're a supporting character, there's like that mystery, and I think that's what makes Arya exciting towards the end, where it's like you don't really know what she's thinking, you don't really know what she's after, and if she were to become the main character, we would have to learn all of that, and maybe that won't make her as interesting.
And if there's another streak of bad writing, then all of this fan hope just goes in the trash.
Oh, if Marvel has taught me anything, is that whatever I hear a fan say that's like really cool, it's definitely not happening.
Oh, because that was gonna be that's my next pick. My next pick was Wong.
Before we get with your pick,
Yeah.
I got some other picks here.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump over you.
No, you good. No, you didn't jump over me.
No, I was gonna let you be the finale for this, and then
No,
we wrap
the
it
thing
up.
is I have a lot, but I'm gonna
I'm gonna let you pick 2.
Can I just at least name them and we not talk about it?
Sure.
Because the people that are listening will know why I said them.
Okay.
So the list that I had Sam as number 1. I had Hannibal Lecter and like the Silence of the Lambs, but he got his stories later. But in the Silence
you're right. I
of
was
the
about to say he got like a whole
he
show.
got his stuff because of that, because he was such a strong supporting character, right? I was gonna say Mikasa and Armin. All right. Anyway,
I feel like
Mikasa, yes.
I feel like Mikasa has the same issue Arya does.
I feel like
though
all right,
she got introduced as being a part of wasn't she supposed to be a princess?
she is she's
Who,
royalty.
Arya?
She's
No,
a
Mikasa.
Mika,
Yeah, but that didn't.
Is it Mikasa? It's Mikasa.
Some people say in the Japanese version, I believe they say Mikasa,
Yeah, it's Mikasa.
but I think those
Us
folks that have more flavor, we tend to like
Mikasa.
we pronounce it.
We pronounce
We enunciate
it
Mikasa
because we've been told to enunciate and pronunciate.
facts. So Mikasa, that's not really so.
Yeah, but anyway.
Mikasa, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Armin would be interesting.
She is royalty.
Armin was a great character. Mikasa, I think, was like a character that was limited by writers. I think that we already talked about it. Like
we talked about it.
Yeah, but I feel like they recently like revealed that she has like these ties.
I didn't watch last season.
Okay, well
I know that she's like.
That's why.
I know she's a part of. It's too late. Nuh-uh, you can't do that. I know that she's a part of that. Like that. What's her last name? What's Levi's last name?
Ackerman.
I know that she's like a part of that, like, right? Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, she's a character who, at least for the first like 75% of the show, was designed to support.
And they don't ever really be like, "Hey, you want to unpack
like,
that?"
Like, yo, actually, you mad strong, and you can make your own choices.
Yeah.
And I think that if she was given that in writing, then she would have been a character that
I support that.
And Armin was just like generally entertaining and smart.
He was super smart, and they only used him as like a Deus Ex Machina to kind of like move the story along and whatever.
Exactly.
Until they no longer needed him.
Severely limited by simply limited by writing.
Yeah. Is it because of his blonde hair?
Probably.
But I get it. I mean,
I also listed a character that maybe it's not really fair, but I don't know if y'all know of the character Naomi from Death Note, who was the wife of that police officer that Light killed, who was the first person to run Light for his money, but just made a mistake. But really? I think, do you remember her? The one with the black hair?
I don't.
Now I gotta go back.
She was the first person that like had like Light nervous as hell because she was picking up, because her husband died. Her husband was a police officer. I forgot his name.
Mm-hmm.
And she was trying to investigate his death, and there was like because Death Note was all
early
about
season 1.
Early, yeah.
Okay.
But I felt like if she would have lived, she would have figured it out. Mm-hmm. Because she was the one that was Because even in Light's like inner dialogue, he's like, yo, she's suspicious of me. She has no reason to be suspicious of me that she knows of yet, but the way that she was communicating with him, similar to how like what's the other one character's name? The other L was communicating like intentionally leaving out some information. Yeah. Not because he knows that like that Light is Kira, but just sort of just leaving that out. She was doing that. She just happened to like, a lot of it was based off of emotion, the fact that her fiance had been murdered, and she just made a quick mistake and he capitalized off it. But I feel like, yo, she had this man like nervous. She was the first one.
That's a deep dive.
It's a reach. It's a reach. But she was the first character that I was like, yo, I might get outed. I may be found out by her, which is why he moved a little bit more quicker to get her killed, and he ended up beating her.
And you think that she deserves a whole...
She could have been... If she wasn't so ruled by emotion, she could have taken the place of L. She wasn't as smart as L. But even before she had... she didn't have as much information. This is early. So there wasn't a lot of information out. And she was already utilizing the skills that L did early. So I just think that she was like a potential character that got killed off really easily. But I think a lot of people that see her in action is like, yo, like she could have been the one. Because also Light was not... He didn't know a lot either at that point. And it was at a point where he was starting to kind of lose control. But I feel like she could have been the one. And I feel like that was a missed opportunity. But I also named Donald Duck from Kingdom Hearts. We can talk about that at another time. I don't care what anybody says. Donald Duck is a great character. Donald Duck only heals you because you're trash. And it's your fault. Because it's your fault. Because Donald heals at the rate that he should. But you are the one that's losing health and is trying to heal quickly, and Donald is just doing what the computer says that he should, and it's your fault. If you heal yourself and then Donald heals you, that's your fault. Garrus from Mass Effect, who is obviously everybody's favorite character.
Dog, you are listing a lot of my favorites.
I'm sorry,
I'm
but
not mad at you.
I can't deal with the Donald Duck hate because I think that Donald, if we're talking about a PlayStation 2 game, Donald did a good job. And we can't deny that Goofy was a mess too. We can't say that Donald is a mess without saying that Goofy is also a mess. We're just mad at Donald because Donald heals. Yo. But Goofy is also a hot mess. If we're gonna agree that Donald made mistakes, we have to say that Goofy made mistakes. Because Goofy would just run in and die. But Donald at least had an ability to defend himself and you. Goofy didn't do that. So like I think that, and also in terms of choices, like Donald was skeptical of people that Sora was not, and I think we should have listened to Donald more. Just saying. So I will fight anybody that has anything bad to say about Donald. He was as good as the AI was capable of making him, and we can't fault him for that.
Yep.
I have more, but I think Donald, that's like my...
Well, I mean, you said Garrus.
I said Garrus from Mass Effect, who was a character I feel like more people were invested in.
Everybody cared about Garrus.
Shepard was boring. And I think that was a mistake.
You were Shepard.
No. I was Garrus. Shepard was an absolutely boring character. Man. Shepard could have had more. And I think maybe there were other games that showed that he was like a silent protagonist without being a silent protagonist. Shepard didn't have any personality. I can think of other games where you can choose what you say and there's still more personality, but Shepard just felt not human. So the supporting characters is what really took home Mass Effect, not Shepard.
I agree.
And I think Garrus is one of the strongest ones, which is why he was in all three. I also mentioned Arya, Elizabeth from Bioshock, Nezuko, Kuwabara, I don't care what anybody says, and Sailor Pluto, who is the strongest.
She had lists. Sailor Pluto is
Wait,
strong,
hold on. Nezuko from Demon Slayer.
Yeah, I think they could have given her more. No spoilers on the manga.
I think we still get.
Who was the next one?
The last one I said was Sailor Pluto.
Not Sailor Pluto. Before that,
Kuwabara
from
Yu Hakusho.
Oh, I didn't finish that.
But you know Kuwabara is like a potential. He's very similar, like maybe Joey Wheeler from Yu-Gi-Oh. That character that's supposed to be the white American male character, who's like just so like
he's big,
aggressive and loyal, and just like like not really strong, but like loyal.
And you said Sailor Pluto.
That's a strong picks.
I mean,
if we had time to go through it,
we don't have to. I just named who I thought of.
No, right? I ain't mad at it.
But I know that you had your picks, but now y'all know who my picks are. and we can talk about it. But those are my picks.
Sailor Pluto is strong.
That's a strong one.
Sailor Pluto has.
We don't have the time to unpack
She was
it,
her limitations were the rules that Sailor Moon set for her. But when she breaks those rules, she changes the entire story. And obviously, like, I hate time travel. That's like literally the worst thing ever.
Me
but
too.
Time
we have
travel
a
is so
hashtag
weak.
out here.
Yes.
Defund time travel.
Get rid of it. It's a mess. Y'all don't know anything about it. It's a mess. It doesn't make sense to me. My brain doesn't agree with it. But I think that Sailor Pluto was
you
just
know
a strong
about the
character.
time. You know about the hashtag defund time travel. We put that out here.
Defund it.
Yeah. No
Y'all
more money.
y'all
No
don't know
more
how to use
money applied to it.
Bring it back. Bring back the hashtag.
It hasn't gone.
yeah.
It's still there.
It's still there.
We never left.
never left. It never left because we never left.
I don't even know how to move past like your list, but
I was thinking. I was just like,
you really were. My last pick was going to be, and I'm not a big DC guy, but my pick was going to be to have primary focus on Tim Drake.
who is Tim Drake?
Tim Drake
that
is
Red
the.
Hood?
Oh, okay.
He's the not Red Hood. He's
Red Robin?
Red Robin.
Okay.
So Tim Drake
Who's
is
lesser
I'll
known than
give
Red
you I'll give you a little quick backstory. So Tim Drake is the smarter out of the Robins, the smartest out of the Robins.
Even with Grayson thrown in there?
Yeah. Grayson is the most acrobatic, and therefore was known, historically known as the best Robin, just because he's got the good combat, the good acrobats.
How are Robins determined? I know one of them may have been like the adoptive son of Batman, but how were the others?
One's Damien.
Mm-hmm.
Well, technically, he's adopted all of them as his sons.
I see. Okay.
But Tim Drake is the one that's the most analytical.
Okay.
He can also fight, but
he's the best detective.
Okay.
And Batman has even said it on record himself in comic books, like if he had to pick who wears the mantle next, it's Tim. And I feel like Tim, if he got out of just like the whole Robin scheme and Bat family thing altogether, he would be a great character to read about. Not just like he would just be more well-rounded, because one, he doesn't have all of Batman's trauma. He doesn't have he has more focus on the fact of just like solving crimes. I think Batman's psychological problems prevent him from actually like resolving criminals.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you have enough evidence to compile and put away somebody for the rest of their lives and like make sure they go to the correct prison to not break out of, that should be enough, right? Like that should be able to resolve some tales out here.
I don't disagree. I feel like the issue with Gotham is that everybody's corrupt, so they're going to break out somehow, some way.
Sure.
But I do think that if Tim Drake is the best detective, as we've seen with the Batman, he would make the best thing to follow.
I would argue that, because I feel like one, Nightwing is he's out here in these streets. He's just slanging and danging. Like this.
Has there been any media created for?
The last
Robin?
probably thing in the media that built excitement around his character was that he came out bisexual, but I don't know if that's enough to anchor.
Red Robin or Grayson?
Red Robin.
Really? I thought Grayson was the one that came out.
Nope.
So that was the issue. It was not the issue. Like that was the comic book issue.
That was that was the last time popularity surrounded that character.
But what was like the struggle? Was it the struggle about coming out, or just was he
who
being a
can
hero?
say? He's been doing what he's been doing of just like solving crimes, but
I see.
He still is under the Bat family mantle, and so he's always going to play second fiddle to Nightwing.
I see.
So he falls under. He gets less popularity as time goes on because Batman has an actual biological son through Damian, who has actually shot him and doesn't want to be Robin anymore. You have the Red Hood, who died, came back to life, and like commits crimes on a regular basis, but under the hero mantle. And then you still have the most famously known Robin, Nightwing, out here just being a secret agent, and
So this character is again severely limited by writing.
I would argue that that would be my argument.
Maybe that's the challenge with like most of
Sidekicks.
But
Sidekicks.
you know what it is? This is one of the few characters I believe is dictated by fan base. Nightwing didn't get killed, but there was literally at one point when they were writing comic books, they sent out a clipping for you to vote whether or not Robin died.
Oh, really?
This is the whole this was a Killing Joke.
This was Death in the Family for at the time that was Jason Todd's Robin.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were like, "Hey, you guys want us to kill Robin or save him?" And they let America vote on it, and America was like, "Let's see what you got," and killed the character. And luckily Tim Drake wasn't fell victim to that, but they didn't even care enough to include him in that vote. They were just kind of like,
well, he's a fictional character. He don't get a vote.
But yeah, I think we have some really strong picks. I feel like, one, we have to come up with a system where we can talk about these things at a later date. Because there's so many picks around this. We might have to do a second episode of this. Not this season, but next season maybe.
Sure.
That'd be cool.
But then the question kind of leads to, maybe it's okay to have, strong side characters.
Sidekicks.
Because if you didn't have strong side characters, what would kind of be, the point, right? If side characters
not every side character needs a spinoff.
That's true too, right?
And I think nobody makes that point more than what you said with Arya Stark. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, when you put it like that, that makes a lot of sense.
She's good for what she's good for.
Yeah. Because
as far as a character,
even with the Harley Quinn animated series on HBO Max,
mm-hmm.
Bane is hilarious. I
but
don't know if I can.
More Bane would be a problem.
I could do with more Bane. I don't know if I could do a show of Bane. But I could do with 2%.
But this is also
Bane.
a iteration of Bane, right? He was hypersensitive, and he's like, "God bless you, Harley Quinn." And, I just thought that was a great line for this past season. But yeah, let us know what you think. If you have characters on your mind that you think should be main characters, this is all just fan fiction stuff that we're doing here.
Fan fiction,
but it creates
engagement. That's how Twilight started.
For real. Right?
Huh?
It is.
Twilight was fan fiction or was something fan fiction for Twilight?
Maybe the werewolf thing. I don't know.
Before Twilight?
No. Stephanie Myers was very dead set on what she wanted to do for Twilight, so I don't know if that's fan fiction.
So, first of all, yes. What's going on here?
Something was fan fiction either from Twilight or created Twilight. But there's fan fiction around it.
Sure, there's fan fiction around
it became it
became canon because of it?
No. So either there is something that became big and a thing because it was fan fiction from Twilight, or Twilight started off as fan fiction of something else, and it became huge, and it became Twilight.
Well, you come back to us with that information.
I'm sure
that's my homework.
Twilight's not very original, but I think that a lot was created because of Twilight.
I would argue that because Twilight was just something me and my wife bonded over books, but unfortunately,
it was the fastest. I read that book faster than any other book.
I did too, and then I read New Moon and got depressed.
I didn't read New Moon. My attention span wouldn't allow me.
Yeah, no, I shouldn't have read New Moon. It was depressing as heck.
It's all right.
Anyway, let us know how you feel.
Yes.
As we always like to say here, follow us on all social media. Because that's what we always say, right? Follow us on all social media.
It's a twist.
Make sure you share, comment, and subscribe, because why not? And as we actually do like to say here, y'all have a blessed night.
Deuces.
Deuces.